try to figure out or understand a little bit more about what fitness is for me. And eventually I kind of told myself, it's my identity, it's who I am, right? It's everything I do. Fitness became another person next to me. It became just, everything I did was fitness related. And it still is a big part of my life. But it isn't the only part now. And hopefully guys today will come away with a little bit of a different understanding of what fitness might be for you guys. Maybe you have different perspectives and different ideas of what is fitness for you, which is great. But I maybe want to add to that toolbox of yours so that you can use it for yourself, first and foremost, become a more well-rounded person, but also for your clients, people you interact with on a daily basis. Okay? So, with that being said, I also had my ups and downs, right? I didn't have a smooth sailing process. And you guys probably also had, with your dealing with clients now who do have those ups and downs, right? But you keep pushing forward, you keep getting yourself better and better. And from that process, my mission now is to really help people understand, live better lives by changing those habits so that they can kind of have that potential to really get the full potential of life. That's the key part here, right? A lot of times we're not even scratching any part of the surface of a person's life. We're just hitting one aspect maybe, right? It's an important aspect. But there could be a whole other part of a person's life that we haven't even touched yet. That's just as important in making them see the results they want to see. So, I approach this in two ways. One way is as a lifestyle coach, I basically work with business professionals, and I work with them trying to basically get them stronger, more energy, trying to uncover or maximize their potential to really have success in both their professional and personal life. And then secondly, as a lecturer at the University of Toronto in the kinesiology program, I work and teach with students, professionals, elite athletes, on making them better performers and better learners. And so with COVID, right, you guys all experienced that. You guys all had your different experiences with COVID. But for me, COVID basically, with the advance of technology, coupled with that as well, really changed the landscape of fitness for me and how I was able to work and how I was able to teach, especially for U of T. I taught 2 years virtually, right? And so we had to still manage, still have to teach a program and get people moving forward. And so that basically altered my approach, and I offer now a lot of virtual consultations, coaching. And before I never even thought it was possible. And I actually had it, luckily I was living in Spain for a year, but that also I approached the online business when I was in Spain before COVID happened. So it kind of was a little bit ahead of the game, not knowing that COVID would happen. None of us would have planned for that. So with that being said, I think a lot of times we think that fitness has one component. And just for you guys, before we go forward, can someone here maybe just provide something that inspired you guys to become a personal trainer? So what makes you get up in the morning, and what brought you into this field? I'm just curious, anyone want to share?
My passion is for staying in shape, being healthy.
Okay.
I figure that if you have a passion in something that you enjoy, it's easier to share it and make it your lifestyle.
I love it. Awesome point. Anyone else?
I always wanted to be a doctor, and then kind of life became too hard for that. But I always liked to help people and keep them healthy. And I feel like exercise is one of the best ways to prevent any type of disease. So when I have to get up at 5 in the morning, obviously, at least I'm gonna help someone and know that it's thinking. So
I love it. Awesome. Anyone else? Maybe one more point?
Yeah, I would just see like my own journey with it. Like it shaped my life and who I am so much. So I love to share that with other people and also help them with this topic because
Awesome.
it can have such a profound impact on you as a human.
Awesome. So a lot of big things there. A lot of big things, right? Passion was mentioned, helping other people. I think that's a commonality for a lot of trainers. I think I hopefully have that passion within, because I think clients will see that. Right? People you work with, interact with, they'll kind of rub off your energy level. And so if it's a positive energy level, they're going to rub off and have a positive outcome. And so you can kind of really play a big influence without you actually knowing. Like your nonverbal language can really play a difference. And so if you're able to really have that shiny light, right? If you're passionate about what you're doing, it's going to show. Right? That you can't hide. You can't mask. So that's a great point. Another question on that, what keeps you, or what motivates you to continue staying a personal trainer? So right now you guys are working here at Altea. What's keeping you here? Is it someone, something, somehow? Like what is keeping you going? Anyone want to share that?
There's a video floating around, it's been making the rounds on fitness social media of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he put words to something that I kind of always thought myself, that for me it's not motivation. I'm not motivated, it's just what I do. And the way he put it, he's like, I'm gonna die in the gym. I work out because that's just what I do. I stay fit. Here's an example, every day I brush my teeth, I eat breakfast, I go to the gym. It's just like what I do. And I think that's helpful for a lot of people because people get so caught up in, oh, I don't feel motivated. I don't feel motivated either. It's just what I do.
Yeah. It's like just who you are.
It's
your
right.
identity. Basically just who you are. Your name is there, this is who you look like. This is what you do. I like anyone else? Other maybe a different approach or other points?
It gives me the flexibility for my personal and mental health.
Okay. So maybe you want to kind of further give some points on that. I was curious.
Scheduling allows me to schedule clients earlier or later in the day to manage my own personal schedule, so if I can make appointments or take time out of my day to manage my own personal and mental health struggles, my clients and my staff also understand that, and this field gives me that flexibility to manage my own schedule a little bit more than being in one workplace for 8 to 12 hours in a day.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Yeah. Another point?
Mine's always pretty selfish. I mean, I think it allows me to maintain my health and be fit as well. I mean, I'm here all day, so I work out, I eat well. So this job, I just feel it's a great job to maintain your own personal health as well.
That's fantastic. I think a lot of us have that in us, right? I mean, not necessarily expressing those ideas, but it's there, right? I think we all have that feeling of, hey, I myself want to feel good, right? And I'm doing this because it's first and foremost for myself. I'm in this field. It's going to rub off naturally because you're just around people who hopefully have the same passion, right? It's going to happen. It's just a natural occurrence of energy around you, people around you. If you have that kind of support system, that's going to maybe further motivate you when you are feeling down. Because back to motivation, it's going to fluctuate. You're never going to have this high peak, right? It's going to come up and down. But if you have those proper habits, those proper identities, you kind of have it, those principles, doesn't matter how your motivation goes, it's always going to come in no matter what. If you have a bad day, come to the gym, right? It happens. And so I think knowing that for your clients as well is also important. Because if they come to you saying, hey, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, it's like, okay, I understand. Let me support that for you, right? Let me be there for you on the side. So, awesome. Last kind of question for you guys before we go forward. When you hear the word healthy, what comes to mind? Just help your head. What comes to mind when you hear the word healthy? Anyone?
Vibrant.
Vibrant, okay. Anyone else?
Being capable.
Capable, okay.
Pain-free.
Pain-free, I like that one.
Balance.
Balance, okay. Maybe self-sufficient, not be a liability for others, right? Trying to have that, maybe some confidence. I mean, just as simple as confidence, right? I can be confident that I can do what I need to do, right? I think that's healthy. Because that person shows that, hey, if I give them this task, they can do it on their own, right? I don't have to always be there for them. I can teach them, guide them, but now I need to develop that confidence that they want, that they need. So I think there's a lot of things that can kind of be mentioned here, but what I believe and what I feel is important when it comes to health is that there's, let me go back a little bit further first before I go into my discussion here. My old way of thinking. So when I was first doing training back in 2009, when I first began, I thought that fitness and training was the be-all and all. I thought it was the way to cure anyone's illness. And it's all of us. A little bit of nutrition advice, a little bit. And that's what I was made to believe. I was like, this is what it is, I'm getting in the gym, squats, deadlifts, bench presses will cure anything. That's true. That's what I believe. And so kind of as more experience happened, learning with more things, I said to myself, no, nutrition has a little bit more role. So I thought back then it was 80-20, right? I thought maybe training was 80%, 20 was nutrition. But then I had a paradigm shift. I had a shift where it actually got in reverse, right? I now kind of thought to myself, no, nutrition has actually a bigger role. Training just has a small component. But then, when things got really interesting is when recently, or over the past couple of years, I found another 6 components that I felt that were just as important. So now I kind of feel like these 8 components, and if you're able to really hone in on them, whatever capacity you want to go in, but keep them well exercised and well balanced, I believe someone will be healthy, right? And I'm kind of explaining to kind of how it works, or how I work for myself and my clients. But I basically call it the lifestyle pie. Okay, and so these 8 components, as you guys will see here briefly, they all work together, right? So we got nutrition as one. Then we have movement. It's also important, the kind of 2 initial points that I mentioned before. Then we have mindset. Okay, these are all going to be important components, and they all work together. Then we have rest and recovery, community, emotional well-being, environment, and stress management. Okay, so the key part here, there's no priority, right? We don't know yet. Based on what we need most, that'll be our priority. And also for our clients. So it's going to be variable based on, could be as simple or as often as a day-to-day change versus a once in a while change. So all these 8 components are intertwined. And so if you're working on one piece of the pie, it might influence and will most likely influence the other couple, maybe all 7. Right? Yeah?
Would you also say that like there's crossover with these? So like for instance, like people love CrossFit because there's like a community aspect, so that could qualify simultaneously movement and community at the same time.
100%. 100%. Good point there. Exactly. So you do have that crossover and kind of interrelationship between different things, but the focus will be a little different as I kind of go through each of those components. But fantastic point. Okay. So again, when you're looking at these components, maybe you're telling yourself, "Hey, Yvonne, I can't focus on all these at once, right? I've only done maybe 1 or 2, or my clients as well. Like I never touched other spots, and that's okay, right? So maybe your focus is something like this, right? And that's okay. One time maybe you're just focusing on 3 big ones, or maybe something like this, right? A little different. Not even maybe barely touching one of them, right? So that's small one you can't really see, but it could be maybe just touch upon or just talk briefly. Then you have this one and this one, right? So this could be someone's focus, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, or end of the week, or end of the month, however you want to put it, the balance should go back to those 8 equal slices. In some capacity, in some aspect. It won't always be easy. You're going to have some difficult weeks, some more challenging months. But at the end of the day, if you kind of look back at your progress, have you reached those 8 components yourself and your clients? I think it's a big point. Anyone else have any questions regarding this? Okay, so let's kind of go briefly through the lifestyle pie. So the first one here, you want to share? You're good? I haven't shared here. The first one here, again, there's no order or priority. I'm kind of going through the 8. I could go first the other ones, but I chose nutrition, so let's go with that. So the first part here about nutrition is just a simple nutritious versus non-nutritious foods. And the idea behind balance and moderation and how that's important in our combination of those 2. So when we're trying to work with clients, especially with clients, I notice this is really important aspect. A lot of clients can't reduce non-nutritious foods hard, right? But how can we keep it in balance or moderation? So maybe reducing a little bit. Having those pizza, those burgers, not a bad thing. Maybe how do I look at it and how often is it happening? Is it happening every day? Once in a while, right? And how do we begin teaching our clients this? Hey, this is going to affect other components of your pie, right? If I'm not eating very, very well, maybe now I'm not thinking very well. My mood is down. Or in the gym, if I want to lift a heavy weight, I can't do as much because now it's affected by what I have just eaten. And this goes to my next point here, which is probably the biggest point. I think I had an experience back in 2017 with gut health, and has really, so it's really sunny here. It's going to change on this side. So gut health is something that I find super important in the fact that how you eat and how your body processes it is going to be instrumental in getting the energy you need. So for those who have ever had gut issues, hopefully haven't, but if you ever want to get into it, there's a whole other topic about gut and brain health. Because if people are getting sick, a lot of times it's through the gut, because our immune system is in the gut, about 70% of it. is in our gut. So if we're not eating healthy, or we're not eating well, right, we're eating quickly. So the biggest thing we can do, I think I give anyone client, is eat slowly. That's the number one thing. Because if you're chewing here, it's not chewing here. And you can't chew here in your stomach. Right? It's impossible. So I would recommend gut health is a big component. I can go more in detail, but for now, let's just briefly talk about it. Hydration. Right? Simply, for now, I find a big one to know quickly is just the urine color. Right? Ask your clients, hey, is it clear, light yellow, or is it dark yellow and brown? Quick way to know if I'm drinking enough liquids throughout the day. Just knowing that, quick and simple, it's science, it's there, it tells you, it's visual, it's a quick reminder. Versus, 2 liters, 4 liters, 6 liters, it's a little bit more gray, right? So just, hey, ask them. Back to gut health, if you're comfortable with it, your poop. It's people, I don't want to talk about it, but it's an important concept. And so if you're comfortable, that can be discussion.
Sorry to drop. What would be a good way to know that if your gut is healthy? I mean, obviously, if you have gas and you would know if something's wrong, but like, are there other ways you could maybe know if you have some maybe underlying issues or?
Well, okay, so like severe issues, you mean?
Well, maybe not so severe, maybe something that could lead to severe.
So
issues.
mood changes are big.
Brain
Always feeling
foggy.
tired,
Brain foggy.
brain foggy, tired. You don't have the energy to do anything. Like you're always just, you're done. Like you just don't have that capacity to keep going. Question
I
or?
was just gonna say, is like discolored bowel or certain other things also are indicators of like poor gut health or issues? That's like kind of where I was going with that word.
Yeah.
So like even just regular bowel movements is like the sign of like not having it, so if they used to be and now they're not. It's like food, diet, but also like health and diet.
Like health and go to the bathroom 4 times a day or 0 times a day.
Yeah.
That's also a quick indicator there, right? So all those things. Versus saying, hey, have 20 grams of fiber. Like we don't know. It could work, but maybe they don't need fiber. Or maybe they need a smaller dosage. So knowing a number like 100 grams, it's really hard. It's tough for me to say that to someone, hey, have 20 grams of protein. Because I don't know. I want to give you a meal to eat and let me know how you feel. And based on that, I can make those small adjustments. And so I can go more in detail for that. It's a whole other discussion, but good point. I don't want to block those points. If you guys also have questions, just let me know. Put up your hand, chime in. Again, alcohol and processed drinks. I think reducing that, again, we want results for ourselves and for our clients. And these 2 people, I'm not saying eliminate them, but reduce them, right? Back to the idea about balance moderation. How often is it happening? Every day? And how much? So just understand, have that kind of talk with your clients. Just make it very comfortable for them and have them a chance to express how they're feeling, what they're doing. Okay, number 2 here, movement. More active, more often. So it's not about the intensity or the duration. It's more about the consistency, right? It's 5 minutes every day versus 1 hour once a week, right? So try to understand that and really have a discussion with the client. Because a lot of times, you just see them for the hour, maybe twice a week. I'm not sure what your schedule's like. But if you want to ask them, hey, this is the gym. How often are you coming to see me, but also on your own? Maybe it's once with me, twice on your own. Then, adding to that, how are they with their work? Or is it a stationary job? Are they active? Are they moving every day, once an hour, a whole day? And what's the commute like? Are they running to work? Are they walking to work? Or are they driving to work? This will also dictate your approach. Because if you're designing a program for them, and they're coming to see you at the gym, and they have crazy work, they're playing 14 sports, and they want to do a heavy workout, maybe it isn't the best solution. Maybe it's going to be a nice little stretch, recovery, so that when they go play the sports, they can. Right? So I think understanding the whole holistic idea of what they do on a daily basis, or weekly basis, however you want to put it, is important. And last point here, we should always see this one. Daily errands, right? Grocery runs, around the house chores, what are you doing? The client, what are they doing? Because that will dictate how you approach that session. Okay, any other comments there? Good. All right, number 3 here, mindset. So with mindset, a lot of times people are told to, I love this word, well I don't like it, but it's multitasking. They think that, hey, the more I can do, the quicker, the better. Well, I kind of feel that being more present and mindful of what you're doing in the moment is way more effective long term. So in the immediate success, maybe I'm doing so many things, I can do it all at once and do okay. But if I want that long-term success, I think being mindful and slowing down and focusing on eating, training in the gym. I'm not going to be on the phone doing other things while I'm trying to do a bench press. For example, I'm not saying you do have to do it that way, but that's one way to be more mindful. Okay, so as simple as back to your question about gut health. If I'm trying to be mindful when eating, I want to sit down and enjoy the food, the texture, the smell, the taste. As simple as eating. It seems crazy, but sitting down for 20 minutes and just understand your cue, how your body feels. Is it feeling like it's, I don't know, full, or is it still hungry? And if you slow it down, if you're mindful, you know, hey, I'm actually full, it's a slow down, versus you're just chowing down in front of the TV. So that's a quick way that you help your client understand, okay, how am I eating, right? Because maybe for lunch, you're on the phone, maybe you're driving to work, and they're eating the burrito, right? Who knows? I've heard many stories. That's one situation where it could happen, it does happen. And you ask them, hey, how was your lunch? You're like, I ate. I'm like, oh yeah, I did eat. They were so occupied with driving and on the phone that they didn't know they actually ate. Right? So you should aim for about, simple way, 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes per meal is a great way to tell your clients to start with that. Explore your beliefs. This one here I find really big in the sense that all of us here have our own upbringing. We're all told through our family gatherings, maybe it was church, maybe it was school, maybe it was a community, they were teaching us things. And we were young back then, we didn't actually question anything. So what are your beliefs now? Have you even explored your current thought processes? Right? Your purpose in life, what you're doing. Because if you're able to explore those things and say, hey, why am I doing this? Like, why does this happen on a daily basis? Maybe I should do something else. And specifically clients, are they actually ever exploring their beliefs? Why do they come to the gym? Why do they get up in the morning? What's driving them to continue? So if you understand those belief systems, you can potentially tap into those and help your client uncover more things. Because maybe they're dealing with a trauma that's just so deep, right? And so being in the gym training, they won't get results because they're just, all the energy, all the dedication is towards that issue that they're dealing with, right? Or they're closed off for something else. So I think that's an important part, just to explore and see. And that leads to the other point here. So being open to learning new things. So I know when I was in my early days of training, I must say that I always thought you have to lift weights. That was the same. I just have to lift weights, my muscle will all be gone. I need to have protein after a workout on the clock. I need to have it or I will lose everything I gain. That was my belief system. That's all I believed. Until I came across, I'm like, no. I haven't lifted weights in 10 years, for those who just want to ask. So I haven't lifted a weight, and I don't plan to go back to lifting weights. That's not for me. I had my time, but I feel for me, for getting further success, doesn't add value for me. So I achieved my whole belief system. And I got into kind of just more bodyweight training, and then I got into just stretching, range of motion work. So again, I have a good foundation maybe for that experience, but maybe understand yourself and your clients. How do they fit in this piece, right? Am I adding more benefit to their lifestyle or taking away stuff? Because I'm further causing stress, further causing issues, right? Thinking I'm doing a better job for them, maybe, and actually, I'm not necessarily doing that. So back to learning new things, growth, fixed mindset. Not a bad thing to have a fixed mindset, right? So back to 80-20, I like that rule, 80-20, because 20% being fixed, not a bad thing. I like my routine. I like to get up in the morning at 6 o'clock, I'm not gonna change. I like it. I might explore different options, but over the years, I figured out that my time is 6 a.m. Right? It's not really bad to be fixed, but maybe you're open to learning new things. Oh, I want to get up and maybe have a coffee instead of water. Or I want to try all this stuff. So maybe I'm able to be a little flexible, but I want to keep learning new things. And then this one also is an important part. A lot of times, when you're dealing with clients, they give you a problem, right? They give you a problem, and how do I now put myself in their shoes? Because maybe for me it's easy, like, just go train, come on, you can do it, like, it's easy, it's part of who you are, it should be. And they're just not clicking, it's not going, it's not going, it's not going. So how do you put yourself in their shoes and understand their full situation, right? Because maybe they are seeing things differently. It's like, oh, I didn't see that. You have 2 kids, and you have a family, you got crazy work, you got this and this, and now I see why it's a little hard to get up in the morning and do your session. On your own, it's more difficult. So just working with your client and finding other solutions to get to the same end result. It's not to always be just one way. It could be a variety of solutions. So keep that in mind. Rest and recovery. So this one I find is also really important in the sense that it involves a lot of things. Kind of briefly mentioned a couple of things here, but the first one that comes to mind is sleep routine. Again, we all need to sleep. Hopefully we all do sleep. Some more than others maybe, some better than others. But can we understand our client's routine? Same time in bed, same time in the morning. Ideally, it's going to be something similar, week to week, right? But also understand that maybe some clients travel. How do I help them in their sleep routine? Maybe it's like a better bedtime routine, a better morning routine. How can I help a client who's so busy, constantly traveling, constantly on the go, family, kids, waking up 4 o'clock in the morning? How can I begin to implement these small ideas for them to kind of use when it gets tough? So that's one way, one step of recovery. Listening to your body, right? Our body is the number one line of defense, right? It's going to tell you, hey, I'm in pain. It's time to slow down. It's an alarm system. And if you're in tune with your alarm system, that's great, right? When you have elbow pain or knee pain, it's like, okay, hold on, I can't not do my exercises. And so sometimes maybe you don't want to say that sometimes, so how do I create a good environment for them to actually share that with me? Like, hey, how are you feeling today? Before just doing squats, like, hey, how's your body feeling? Any aches or pains? Right? Noting that in your notes, putting it down for next time. Say, hey, last week I had a knee pain. How does it feel this week? Because that's going to really be a big influence. And back to the idea about working in versus working out. And so if they do come to you with a stressful day from work, they're exhausted, and you had planned an intense workout, that was just your weekly routine with them, and you're like, hold on, let's actually not work out today, let's work in. Let's kind of focus on some stretching, some breathing. Let's calm your nervous system down. Because right now it's your heart rate's up, you're sweating, you're tough, and adding more stress, not a good thing in this specific situation. That's a really important part there with that working. Self-care. We all maybe have our own approach to self-care. Things like breathing, meditation, hot baths, cold showers, you name it. There's a whole ton of things. We have to tap into that. And the reason for that is because a lot of times we're constantly, think of ourselves as a bank account. We're constantly doing a lot of withdrawals. But are we ever depositing back into our bodies? And so thinking, whatever makes you happy, have those moments, right? And also for your clients. Because if they're constantly withdrawing things from their bank account, and I'm not getting a deposit, it's going to eventually deplete. Right? Just like your own bank account. You have to put that back deposits, I hope. So that's an important part where adding that self-care component is really important. And then as to this point here, take real breaks. And what I mean by real, in terms of quotations there, is that a lot of times we go for a walk, we go things outside, we do whatever we want to do, but we're still distracted. We're on our podcast, we're on a phone, we're whatever we're doing. We're not actually in that moment, back to being that crossover you mentioned before, mindset, right? What am I present in this break of mine? Staycation, vacation, whatever you want to do it, right? But you got to be present in that moment. I think that really, I've felt with myself and my clients now is they actually have a chance, whether it be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they have a chance to just take a deep breath because people's lives are pretty hectic, as you guys probably noticed or have experienced. So that's an important part. Anything else in the comments there? Okay. We're almost another, oops. Okay, community. So with community here, I think there's a big influence of building a social network and having those connections. So we all have friends, we all have family. Going back here, I'll leave that for now. We all have friends, family, colleagues, people we can lean on for that support. So when times get tough, or we want to look and reach out to some people, we have those support systems. And that's really important when it comes to yourself, your health, right? Because if I have, say, something happen, and call my mom or my best friend, they know how to help me cope with this situation. So having those people and your community becomes who you are eventually, right? Because I'm assuming you guys here, people join a group because they come here, it makes them feel good. I'm assuming most people who have come here, your clients, yourself included, you like the feeling it brings you here, right? The atmosphere, and asking that to your client. Say, hey, what brings you here? Maybe you never ask them, like, what brought you here in the first place? Was it some promotion, or was it the environment, how are things going now? Has it met your expectations? Is it changing? Because that will give you, they feel like they're a bigger part now, not just themselves. They're coming here because they feel a part of this community now. Whether it's whatever it is, find it out for your client. Find it out and make that an important part. Write it down, put a small note on yourself. Just for next time, say, hey, I know this client loves this time. Less people, whatever it is, they love this and this. I know that next time, I'm already planned for that. So they're going to be ahead of time. I'm going to have a nice open space for them, by the window, like a nice little sunlight in the morning. Perfect. Right? You know ahead of time what gets them going, what makes them happy. Volunteer. If you don't have those first two options, maybe all volunteer is an option for you, right? Bicycle shop, garden, whatever it may be. Community center. There's so many options there. That could be an option for a client, right? Keep them support, because in the day, if these first three things don't happen, they have you as a fourth option. And you're going to be probably the biggest support system. Because in the day, I think most of us, well, at least in my experience, they become pretty much your best friend in a sense, because they are going to see you the most often per week. More than their family sometimes, or even their friends. They see you maybe once, twice a week, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours. And so you play a big role. Big role. They're going to share a lot of things with you. And if you're able to, one more here, if you're able to present a really safe environment for them to have that rapport with you, they're going to be able to express their true feelings. Right? It all comes with time. Practice with time, because they have to develop, hey, this person actually is here for me. They care for what I want to say, and they're really building that trust. It won't happen on day one. But how you present yourself and how you make them feel in that space will definitely, hopefully, they'll open up to you, and you can kind of get yourself in those different positions and actually have an influence, right? New places, new people. Back to the whole idea of mindset, right? I think sometimes we don't always we're always in our way, we're always stuck in our positions, which is great. But maybe also you want to go to new places, go to new people, right? Expose yourself to new opportunities they never even knew were possible. Maybe you have a new hobby, let's go try it out, right? Maybe tell your client, hey, what gets you happy? You want to try something else? I know a new sport, this is how you play, like you want to go on the weekend, or here's an option for you on the weekend to do this. This is where you go, like, oh, I never knew that, let me try it. So I think having that openness to those things are just as important in that community. Okay? Emotional well-being. So this one here, a lot of times, kind of similar to if you're talking with a client, having that safe space, making them feel like they can share their true feelings with you, and being vulnerable, because it's a scary place sometimes. People, again, come to you maybe with, hey, I want to lose weight. That's probably the biggest thing I've ever heard in my life in terms of my business. But it's more than that usually. Right? Why is that important? And then why is that important? Uncovering really of why is that important, because in a day, it's probably not because they want to lose weight. They want to look good in the mirror, they want to be able to walk with their kids, whatever it is. There's a host of different purposes why people want to come here to the gym. So understanding that is a big part. Notice your thoughts. This is your own personal thoughts, or even with your clients, for example. Have them just take note. Don't make any changes. Just think about what thoughts and worries are entering your mind on a daily basis, because we all have them, right? What is constantly your narrative? And it's your kind of,
How do you build that trust for your clients to be with you vulnerable? So they can
it's a tough one. But yeah, so any thoughts on your side?
No, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, no, it's okay. Anyone else want to share? Maybe?
Yeah, just consistently being open and there for them and asking how their day was before and what went on before, and not the superficial stuff. And it's resulted in, I've had 3 clients here cry to me or share experiences in the last 3 months, one of which has moved back to the old country and other things, and some deep and personal things they should share with a therapist. And make those recommendations when necessary in certain situations, but sometimes it's very nice things like, hey, I didn't resign from my job because, like, sharing with you the stress I was putting on me, and like that, and getting it out here, and somebody's coming in just doing recovery and other things, really put me in a better mental space, and then they open up and share other things. And it's just like, Karen, how were the kids? How was your family? Oh, who is that? And it builds rapport. I know other people, other clients, the coaches here talk better with their clients than me, I'll tell you that's for sure. But it's resulted a few times where clients like really open up, because you are that person they see so often, and you're that source of motivation, not just for in here. The habits they build in here, like I haven't said, result in them being successful at work or other places, and that's why those clients were like, hey, thanks for helping me not resign, or helps me with exam stress, because you went through the same situations. So there's ways to connect and be like, hey, I had a like experience. It's not the same, but maybe a like, or maybe you're just listening. And listening is like one of the biggest things. Some days, honestly, can't relate with some of my clients, but listening is huge.
Awesome point. Also on the notion of what Michael mentioned there, you also sometimes, they want to tell you, hey, help me in the moment, but down the road, like, wow, you definitely played a role. Like, they didn't know at the time. Maybe you just said something kind of that was nice to them, they heard it, but it didn't necessarily set in just yet. They weren't ready to take that information. But eventually, maybe like a month later, like, oh, now I remember what Michael told me. That's what now clicks to me, right? And so I think just being there, helping them, listening, like Michael said, is super important. Understanding that less is more sometimes, right? And how you approach things and what they do, because maybe they have something on their mind. If you're adding more things to it, like back to the whole idea of what's stressful, if they have some things in their head, in their mind, thinking about it, you're going to say, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this. They're like, yeah, sure. They'll be like, yeah, I'll do it, no problem. They do nothing, right? Because it's just too much. So you have to understand that client's current situation. Maybe tomorrow, day after, a week later, it could be better. But right now, not the best time. Being a therapist, I think this is, maybe some of you guys already have experiences already as a coach, but I know from my experience, a big part of my job is being a therapist, right? Listening for them, supporting back to being your best friend, the person you see them most often. And then the day, like, they're gonna be there, and if you build that trust, they'll now ask you, hey, like, how do you do this now? How do you do this? What should I do now? I got injured, how do I recover? So the more you build that rapport, they're gonna use you as the first line of information. That's really important, because now they've trusted you. And if you're gonna give them good, honest report and honest, say, hey, actually don't know the answer. This is not my level of expertise. I want to outsource you. I want to refer you to someone else, because right now, I can say something, but in my head I know I'm not going to be able to help them, because I honestly can't. And so I think that's a bigger person, right? Because then you're going to be able to say, well, like, yeah, honestly, he told me that he's not able to help me. I trusted him. He told me where to go. I feel better. Versus telling them kind of like a wishy-washy response, and they're like, hey, what happened? You told me to do this. And they're like, oops, right? So it's better often to just be honest with yourself, say, hey, this is out of my expertise. I'm going to pass you on. I'm going to try to. And then show compassion for yourself. This is a big one. A lot of times we're our own biggest critics, and the clients as well. So just thinking about how do you talk to yourself, right? Are you hard on yourself for missing a workout? Are clients hard on themselves for missing a workout or missing a nutrition day? Whatever it is, next day will happen again. Tomorrow is going to happen. It's going to come tomorrow. We're going to have a new, maybe fresh start. Start again. Not the end of the world. So I think a lot of times, at the end of the day, we're always thinking to ourselves, I know myself included, I always used to do this, is like, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I missed all these things, versus I did this, I did this, I did this, and that's okay. So the positive side, versus just going, oh man, I missed all these things. And then you're telling yourself, no, it's like I'm actually not where I need to be. You can kind of feel bad, it further breaks you down, and that taps into other pies. You could probably be eating poorly now, could be thinking poorly now, so all these things have a domino effect in a negative way as well. And show gratitude. A lot of times we've got to show gratitude just for things that we have and things that we're doing. Last two here, I know we're kind of on the point here, we're okay for time. Environment. So this one is just as important, because we have to now begin to, or take the time to first design the space around us. And again, just trying to get the space, but it could be anything. It could be a space with your people you're closest with, right? The things that you have at home, for example. If I'm going to design a space at home that's going to help me live a healthier lifestyle, how do I do that? Right? If someone says to me, hey, I want to eat healthier, I'm not going to say this, because there's so many things out there. I'm going to say, okay, how does your cupboard at home look like? Right? How do we now change those things? Because when you get tired after work, the last thing you want to do is like, oh yeah, I got to make this thing. But if you don't have an option in your cupboard, there won't be a way to do it. You're going to have maybe a more nutritious option, right? And actually find things you actually like, versus saying, hey, have celery, have carrots, have this and that. Talk to your client, hey, what do you enjoy? and have that discussion, because maybe there are good options that they actually never knew about. So that's an important part. Your surrounding, that also applies to your home, your work, your commute. Right? A lot of times, our environment dictates our posture. Think about it. Sleeping, wake up, clients mostly go to work, sitting in a car, desk at work, flexion, going to work out, deadlifts for the flexion, going home, sit down, watch TV for the flexion, all day flexion. And you're like, ooh. So now this is one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, and that injury might eventually show up. So how they look on a daily basis, right, will dictate potentially how you approach that program. So it's really important to understand your client's environment and your own personal one yourself. Friends, family members, exactly, people around you, right? People, are they uplifting me or are they bringing me down? I might have to change that because I'm always feeling agitated, anxious. I want to feel more relaxed. I want to feel at peace. So whatever it is that you want to feel, you got to make sure that you understand who's around you. Because eventually these things do become unconscious. People just walk down the street, you're kind of just robotic. You're just robotic. You don't even question it, right? They're just unconsciously doing those habits. They're at home, they grab this thing from the kitchen, they just eat it because they have no idea anymore that they're doing it. It's so habitual. We are a creature of habits. And so if we can kind of learn to take the time to design a space that works for us and for our clients. Okay, so that's a big part. Because we want to make habits, I heard it before from many things, but good habits make them obvious. Bad habits make them, what's the one? Bad habits. So good habits make them obvious. Bad habits, invisible. So you don't even actually know they actually exist. Because if you see something, you're more often than not going to go towards that thing. Because we're all conditioned. We're all conditioned to do that. Last one here, stress management. So when we're all going to have stressful moments, right? Stress is a natural occurrence of life. And so if we can develop good coping mechanisms for those stressful moments in our life, right? Whatever it is, there can be many things. There's journaling, there's music, there's training in the gym, there's eating a good meal, talking to your friends. There's so many different coping mechanisms out there. Understand what works well for you and your clients. Because when it gets stressful at work or they're on the road, they're on doing something, they have to know, okay, what do I lean on if I have this stressful situation? I've got to do something. And so if they're going to have these bad environments, it's going to be a tough job for them to really make those changes long term. So you want to get them more successful, right? Create that opportunity so that when it comes, it's going to come. You can't avoid stress. It's going to come. How do you deal with it in the best way possible? And then back to stress, not a bad thing, right? It's a natural body experience, right? Fight or flight. We all have that experience. Some of our heart kind of goes up, we're breathing heavier, we're kind of danger maybe. So short-term stress can actually help you perform, right? Doing a big lift, maybe do an interview, it's going to help you. But if it becomes long-term, that's when it becomes dangerous. Because your body is constantly thinking that it's on alert. Right? It's never gone back down to normal. It's constantly here. This is your new normal now. And so when you kind of have a normal stress level go up and down, you relax back to normal. But when you're so stressed, this becomes your new normal. You're just going to constantly ride this wave until you're going to burn out. Sooner or later. Learning to say no. That's a tough one. It happens to a lot of people. And I know when I was younger, I wanted to have every client possible. I wanted to train everybody, Olympic, sports, and I was trying to do everything. And it was a good learning experience, but I realized for myself that it got too much, where it kind of burned me out as a coach. And so understanding that, hey, right now I'm not feeling that I can take more clients or do more things, or I want to do all these new components, but I can't. And that's okay. So just learning to say, hey, right now, for me, this is not my time. And for a client, they want to do all these things. For now, it's not my time. Tell them, hey, you want to lose weight? You don't have time for fitness, or you don't have time for nutrition as much as you want to right now. Let's focus on this instead. Let's do stress management. Let's focus on how you're going to be dealing with stress at work. Have a small discussion while we're lifting weights. Right? Because that's going to give them maybe more benefit in what they need to do, because they can't do that at 7 or 6, for example. find time to disconnect. Back to the idea about self-care, right? Really unplug, get away, disconnect. It could be away somewhere, it could be something at home, favorite place, whatever makes you and your clients happy. Understand that. What is their moment where they're just, I'm relaxed? Okay, so with all these things, you might be thinking to yourself, Ivan, like, man, you made some good points here, but how do I do all these 8 components and with the same dedication, day in and day out? And I tell you guys, my response for that is, you gotta be proactive and build awareness. So what I mean by that is, well, first and foremost, a lot of clients that I work with, they miss this important step. Right? This part is really important in the sense that if I want to make changes, I have to know what I'm changing. Like, there could be so many things out there, like a newest trend. Oh, I want to do paleo, intermittent fasting. It sounds so exciting. And they jump towards that. Maybe also don't jump toward it, which is great. You tried it out. But in reality, it's very difficult because you don't know where you're starting from. You could be very beginner in nutrition. You're still learning how to eat slowly. You're still learning how to eat in moderation. Then, that's for the experienced people, the diets, so to speak, because they're challenging. And for us, it may work, but for our clients, it's a different experience. So understanding that it doesn't always work what we believe is the best way. And I've been there. I used to always just push my belief systems onto my clients. Right? This is the best workout. This is the best way to do things. And as I got older and more experienced, I'm like, no, I actually think for you right now, even though I don't do this anymore, let's lift some weights, right? Let's do that. And I'm okay with that because before I was closed-minded. I was thinking this is the only way to do it. I wasn't getting myself open to other components. So back to building awareness. So understanding human behaviors. It's more challenging to carve your own path, not just follow along the trends, because that's easy. Grab on, do something, follow along. Versus go another way. Challenge yourself and your clients to, hey, you're unique. Let's figure out a path that works best for you. Because at the end of the day, it's your path. And learning that only comes by learning and listening to your client. Understanding what is their current situation. Because maybe that intense program you had planned for them today isn't the best program. Just going down to a nice little stretch. Have a talk about nutrition, or maybe it's going to be something else. Whatever's on their mind. Because that's a spot for them to really have a chance to open up. Because who else are they going to talk to? They're working 24/7. They're maybe a husband or wife are busy at work. Kids are always at home. So they never have a chance to really just take a break and tell you what they're feeling like. So finishing off here, have a plan and be adaptable. So it is both a science and art to it. So we can have the best program out there with the best exercises, but it's how you communicate. And if you don't do it properly, if you don't properly instruct the clients, motivate them in that session, you're lost. They will just tune out and say, thank you for the session, and that's it. Because you have to adapt on the spot sometimes. So have a plan B, a plan C, when you see them. Hey, you had planned it's going to be an intense workout, it's going to be yoga, CrossFit, but no, I'm going to do now the opposite because what they told me, they're not feeling so good. Or they're feeling great, let's go for an intense workout, right? They're feeling energized, they're all in, let's jump it up, let's do it, they're ready for it. So have those plans ready, just there. So this last point here is, I think, really kind of brings it all together here. Training isn't always where you start. Because this environment is training, so it's an important component. It's a good vehicle to bring the clients in and really begin to use other components as well to help them live the best life possible. And so, with that being said, our healthy habits are basically knobs. So think about like a speaker, right? Versus a press and pause button. So what I mean by that is understanding, working alongside your clients, understanding, hey, I'm listening to what you're saying to me. We have to now turn our dial either up or down based on what I'm hearing from you. So with training, you're feeling good, let's bump it up. While with nutrition, you're perplexed, you're moving houses, your kitchen's a mess, let's turn down. The key part here is that you're always thinking that all nothing approach is now gone. Instead, think about or strive for the approach of always something. So you're never gonna put a pause button on your fitness or your health. So all those 8 components, you're still doing something. Maybe not as big as maybe you would like to or they need for that time, but it's still something. It could be as simple as breathing for 2 minutes while you're sitting on the toilet.